All right, thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity and the time to be here and to share with you all what we have been doing in Zimbabwe. So I'll just give a brief background on NMCS Zimbabwe. It was started in 1993 by a Jesuit priest called Father Nigel Johnson. Today, we have approximately 3,000 students as our members across the country from the different tertiary institutions that we have. The different activities that we have been doing come from the range actually from pre-register vote, care for creation, leadership development, frankly speaking, and also the journey, which is an NMCS mobile, zero-rated mobile application. So the issue that I want to mainly talk about today is on discernment in participation, or how we have framed it here, that is discernment in participation, which we see is something like deliberative democracy. How deliberate are we in participating in issues to do with democracy in the communities that we are in and in the countries that we are coming from? So when we framed discernment in participation, we decided that we are going to be doing two things. Number one, a campaign called Pre-Register Vote. This we have done in the form of a webinar that we do once every month. And also, secondly, a pre-register run training workshop. So a pre-register run training workshop looks or trains young people in different political parties on issues to do with how can they prepare to run for office, how can they become campaign managers. But at the center of all that training, we focus on leadership for the common good, to actually say, how can we as young people in the different political parties that we're coming from be formed or be informed by the Catholic principle on the common good? So how then do we use our leadership styles to work for the particular common good? So Pre-Register Vote is a campaign that we started in the elections of 2013, and it has continued over the years up until even this year, to which we are looking forward to having our elections possibly in August of this month. So what have we done so far, and what have we achieved? So 60 to 70% of the total population in Zimbabwe are young people. So we do pre-register vote so that we engage and participate now. We promote free and fair elections. We foster intergenerational relations and encourage young people to actually go out there and observe elections. So far, from last year when we started pre-register run and pre-register vote, we have recorded 9 episodes in the year of 2022. And next week on Tuesday, we'll be having the first episode of this year, which is the topic of that particular discussion is framed from the Zimbabwe Catholic Bishops' Conference Lenten Pastoral Letter that was released 2 weeks ago. It talks about elections, which talks about the importance of participating in elections as a country, as Catholics, to participate in elections because it is also regarded as a synodal process. So far we have recorded 9 episodes. We have made sure that, or we have tried to make sure that young people are at the center of planning the whole process of calling panelists, setting up the studio room, recording, publishing, and also talking about that particular episode. So far, we have had a total reach of 150,000 plus people online, people who have watched, engaged, and also conversed about that particular webinar. So in building to a campaign where we just talk about registering to vote, we have also then gone on to assist other young people to go out there and register to vote. There are challenges that the young people then face when they go out there to register to vote. That comes in different forms, but we then encourage young people to actually say, this is the opportunity for you to have a voice in what is happening in the country, and that voice is found in the vote. So it is very important then that you go and register to vote. Then so far we have had 3 training workshops on pre-register run, which is being done in the different provinces around the country. So we have so many political parties in Zimbabwe, but what has helped us to structure the training program is to then pick young people from the political parties that are represented in parliament, or the parties that participated in the last election and managed to at least get 1% of the votes. So those are the people then that we are selecting from and training on pre-register run as young people. How do you run? How do you manage a campaign? And specifically, how do you make sure that you are going to be a leader who establishes or who works for the common good? And in all this process, we as a country in Zimbabwe, we are too polarized. So it is either you're on the left or on the right. It is in the rare cases that you'd see someone who would straddle in between. So because of that, different spaces then are quickly and easily labeled to be supporting the left or the right. So as the church, the platforms that we are trying to create or those that we have created then give young people an opportunity to meet, whilst you are not clearly defined to be on the left or on the right, but also to bring those who are clearly defined on the left and on the right to sit down together and say, we are coming from different political parties, we have different affirmations and beliefs, but the thing that is bringing us together is to see our country move forward and improve. So such platforms then become critical, especially in our context, and that is what we have managed to do. But besides all this, we have also faced a number of challenges in implementation and in the things that we have been doing. People have, or the authorities have not easily found the campaign that we are doing as something that is only formed or initiated by the church. Then it would seem like we are supporting either the left or the right. So because of that, we have had an instance where 2 of our conferences last year were cancelled because we were requested by the police not to continue because we were doing something that they deemed was not as clear as it should be, because it was on pre-register vote. Then also, we have also had the challenge that young people, because they have seen or witnessed instances or situations of violence or politically motivated violence or anything in that particular way, then they have, then the young people have taken a stand to move away a bit from politics, because they've seen it as a place where there is violence and they wouldn't want to be found in those spaces because of that. So that's some or part of the mindset then that we strive to change or to work with, and try to make sure that each and every young person has to know, like what the Zimbabwe Catholic Bishops' Conference have said, to say that each and every person has a right and a responsibility. So the Constitution gives you a right to have one or two things, but at the same time as you have that particular right, you also then have a responsibility to make sure that you choose the person that you think is the best person to represent you. But also after choosing the person, you also then have to go out there and make sure you bring that person to account, to actually say, are you doing what you promised? Are you doing what we agreed? Are you doing it at the right time, at the right pace, and with the right people and stuff like that? So these have been part of what we have been doing and the process that we have been doing. But it is important also to note that as we continue to have conversations about discernment in participation, and particularly for us in Zimbabwe, having a talk on pre-register vote, we have seen that young people young people in the church are going to be happy or are going to be comfortable having a conversation about participation in democratic spaces when they are told about about participation from their fellow people in the church. So then it means the elders that we have, which is you guys mostly, to actually say, how are you then, as the seniors, motivating and assisting young people to actually participate and letting them know how you would want them to then participate in the different spaces in that particular line. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and I hope I have managed to share what we are doing and you have understood it in Zimbabwe. But our hope is that because today DRC is also having its elections, Nigeria is having their elections today, we certainly hope that young people there will also desist from the motivations or the inclinations to get into violent protests or situations. But at the same time, we can, as a movement, as International Movement of Catholic Students, as ICMICA, as MIC, to then have one rallying point that we can have across the globe to actually say, let's have everyone agreeing to discernment in participation. Let's have everyone knowing that this is the message that we have in the different countries and also in the different regions that we are coming from. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and I'm happy to continue learning, respond to questions later on, and also wish you the best of luck in the works that we are doing. Thank you.